Now for Daniell cell actually is about the same. It's about the same as the simple cell. Okay, the only difference is that in Daniell cell we have two types of electrolyte. Okay, you can see that there's one electrolyte here, there's another electrolyte inside here. The one outside is zinc sulfate, another one is copper sulfate. We design this cell in this way is because it can last longer compared to simple cell. You can use it for a longer time, okay, compared to the simple cell. So that's the modifications of the simple cell. Okay, simple cell it cannot last very long. So for this one, so we have two electrolyte. Okay, and the electrolyte is like this. Okay, if this is a zinc electrode, then the electrolytes should have zinc ions. And if this is copper electrodes, then the electrolyte should have copper ions. And for Daniell cell, usually it's zinc and copper. Daniell cell is zinc and copper. Again, the same thing, okay? So the one higher in electrochemical series will be the negative terminal. So zinc higher, zinc is a negative, so copper is a positive. And the one negative is anode. So zinc is the anode. So for reactions at anode, okay? So this one I think we don't need to write. Just straight away write the half equation. So at anode, zinc will release electrons. Always remember, at anodes, the metals will release electrons to form ions. You form zinc ions by releasing 2 electrons. So the observation is that the electrodes become, the electrode will corrode and become thinner. The chemical reaction is exactly the same as a simple cell. Okay, the only difference is that this one has 2 electrolyte. Okay, and we have a porous pot. Yeah, the porous pot. And at cathodes, okay, the positive terminal will be the cathodes, and the cathodes, the positive ions will receive the electrons. So we have the positive ions that we have here is the copper ions, okay, and the hydrogen ion. And copper ion is lower compared to hydrogen, so copper ions will receive electrons, okay, to form copper metals. So the observation is the copper electrodes will become thicker. Okay, because the copper ions deposits on this copper electrode, so it becomes thicker. Observation. Okay, now this one we have other observations. Okay, copper ions. The copper ions is blue in color. Copper ion, okay, is blue in color. Now these copper ions, it form copper atoms, right? Okay, so it form copper atoms. This copper atom is a brown solid. It's a brown solid. This brown solid deposits on these copper metals to make it become thicker. Now these copper ions, after it become copper atoms, the solution here, it lose copper ions. It lose copper ion, and therefore the blue colors of the solutions will become colorless after the reactions because it lose copper ions. That is the other observations that you need to know. The blue color, copper 2 sulfate solutions become colorless. So that is the other observations that you need to know. The functions of the porous pot. Okay, why we need to have a porous pot here? Okay, the porous pot, the function is to separate these 2 solutions, right? Okay, because we have a solution here and then we have a solution here, so we must have something to separate it. But then why we use porous pot but not plastic? You cannot use plastic. Okay, we use porous pot is because porous pot, it has a lot of small hole inside and it can allow the ions to pass through. The ions from this solution can go inside, and then the ions from this one can go outside. Okay, slowly. Okay, slowly. So the functions of the porous pot, the major functions of the porous pot is to allow ions to pass through it, and hence complete the circuit. So we must allow the ions to pass through. Okay. Because the flows of the ions complete the circuit. If the ions cannot flow, then the currents cannot flow here. Okay, so we must allow the ions to flow to complete the circuit. Weaknesses of Daniell cell. So the electrolytes can easily spill out. You shake it, okay, the electrolytes can go out. Difficult to carry around, okay, because all liquids, right? So it's hard to carry around. And the voltage produced decreases rapidly owing to the polarities of the cell. You don't need to know what does it mean by polarities of the cell, okay? Yeah, you just need to know that the voltage will decrease very fast. That's all.